Welcome back, friends. LostScarf here, and it's time for another Basically a Podcast. I have a return guest, Matt Bitner, and they are the developer of a robot named Fight, which came out 3 years ago. We did a podcast right when the game came out as well. It came out September 7th, I believe, in 2017. It's been 3 years, and it's cool to do a bookend of this. We had it back then, but we talked back then before it came out, and now it's been out for 3 years. And so I'm sure there's a lot of good questions I can ask here about it. But welcome.
Hello. Yeah, it is I guess the 7th of this month was the 3-year anniversary of Robot Named Fight, yeah.
Yep. And I'll get the compliments out of the way right now. It's still a solid game. It's still a solid pick now over what's coming out at the moment. Like, I'd say for roguelike picks, this is a really good one out of the last couple years. And, Dead Cells, of course, is really good. What I appreciate about a Robot Named Fight, and Dead Cells too, but I'll see yours more. It's a game where you can beat the game from the first run. Because there's a lot of, play, die, upgrade, and you have to keep upgrading until you can finally beat the game. While Robot Named Fight is, you can conceivably beat it on the first run and have a lot of fun with that run. Then you've unlocked new things you want to play with and then have more fun with those new things over and over and over again. So I appreciate that because I feel like a lot of roguelikes rely on the upgrade to extend the life of the game. While yours it's just a fun experience from the start. It's really solid, and it's just more things to play with as you go. Because I remember the first time I beat the Megabeast was... Oh, by the way, people, check out... I'll put the links in the description of the first podcast when we talked about developing the game, and also a video covering the game, so you can see what we're talking about if you don't know. A Robot Named Fight is very much like this love letter to Super Metroid. It feels a lot like it's really good. It's a really good roguelike in that vein. And the Megabeast is the big boss of the game. I remember the first time I went to the Megabeast, I had all the drones. All of them. And that was really fun. I had so much fun having all the drones just go to town fighting the thing. While as I played it more recently, and there's so many changes, these are really nice changes. And I'll go into that in a little bit, but getting the upgrades and the fact they can combine to make new things as well, which I don't know when that happened, but that was really cool. And I just had a real fun time fighting the Megabeast with just all these different upgrades I had then, and I didn't find a single drone. There's just so many powers you can get to have an interesting run in this game. So I really appreciate that a lot.
Well, thank you, yeah. And I think it's only grown more so, it's basically doubled, if not certain aspects of the game have tripled in size since launch. There's 150 items where I think when it launched it had 60 different items. So kind of like you were saying, you could have a run that is very orb centric. You get a lot of followers, you have lots of bots following you, and you could also have runs where there are none of those. Literally, you don't get a single one. So. I think, I don't know. I appreciate what you had to say about the replayability of it. I've also tried to extend out, like you were saying, you can beat it in the first run very easily, but then you can replay, and there's endings beyond endings and things like that. In this new update that just came out, I've added 3 new game modes. So even after you beat the game once, you can unlock these 3 new game modes, and they all have their own distinct endings now, and really their own unique feel. So
that's something I like, is because of the multiple endings. Also, after the first ending, I think a bunch of meat comes down, so there's even more meat on the screen and everything. So it does reflect as you beat it, more things happen, which I think is pretty cool. Also, those new modes, which I'm sure everyone's happy about the boss rush mode. People love boss rush.
Yeah. There's always been a little secret boss rush mode in the game where you kind of play through, and after each boss you get an item. But this new boss rush mode is kind of the official boss rush, and it's all based around there are a handful of shops at the very beginning, and they're kind of connected to the rest of the map with teleporters. And as you beat bosses, you unlock scrap, you unlock all these different components you can use to then go buy new items and kind of outfit your character however you want. The shops refresh, and it has I mean, I guess aspects of the greed mode in Isaac, and then just boss rush modes in other games. But it changes from more the Metroid. It changes from the Metroid feel more to a I don't know, kind of a character building. Like
Hmm.
you're making decisions about how you want to outfit your build.
Yeah, which is nice, and I think you got 12 or 15 new upgrades in this update as well. So
Yeah.
you've been working on this game all those 3 years, just adding more things to it.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, that feels like kind of a dream because I remember when when I was doing software when I was in school for software engineering. I just wanted to just add more and more things, just keep wanting to add more and more to it. And the nice thing about when you have a game is you get to add more and more if you want to. You can. Uh, are some of the ideas are they all you, or do you take from the fan base ideas for powers and things, or?
I definitely like. We have like a super active fan base in our Discord. There's probably about I think 600 members now, and they throw out a lot of ideas, and they definitely get used. I'm trying to think like it's hard to attribute
Mm-hmm.
specific items to specific people because a lot of people might have the same idea or people might suggest ideas that I've had for a while and then I start seeing suggestions for them and I'm like oh well okay that's prioritized now. So it's there is like a community aspect to like not just suggesting what's in the game but like when it's going to show up in the game and what people are interested in because there's a lot of stuff that I'd still love to eventually add to the game that just hasn't made it in. And it may make it in the form of like a sequel or a remake or a DLC. I'm not sure how the next content will come out for Robot Fight, but I don't know. There's a lot on the backlog, and yeah, a lot of it is community sourced in a way of just like I don't know. People have so much feedback, and there's so much.
Yeah,
There's
because
a lot of cool ideas. This I do want to say shout out to a specific Discord member, Rockcord, who largely, I mean, the game is entirely I've created all the pixel art, all the music, et cetera, up until now, where I had Rockcord, a member of our Discord community, actually create some of the new robot corpses you'll see strewn around the level.
huh,
So he's done a little bit of pixel art for that. So
oh, that's cool.
yeah.
Because I wonder about. I was active a couple months in that community, and I remember it was very active community, and I never left the Discord, so I see that there's still plenty of talking going on in there. So that's really good to have a community still going years after a game's out and everything.
Hmm.
That's just a nice thing. I'm curious. Do you know what the fastest time anyone's beaten your game?
I want to say it's something ridiculous like 7 minutes, or it's not like it's yeah. They're like
Wow.
and it really depends on like which route you take to beat it. But I have seen people right now, especially since the last update, and that's the other thing is like the timing all changes every update because they keep
Mm.
adding more stuff. But wall jump was added as a secret recently. So if
Oh.
you're able to sequence break, you'll unlock the ability to kind of do an old school Super Metroid style wall jump. And I've
Nice.
seen people reach the Megabeast very, very quickly without ever venturing below ground and just kind of fighting him with the base stats and
Oh, okay.
beating it that way. And then I've also like the glitch world, I guess, is another really fast way to beat the game. You can start out.
Interesting. Okay, that's cool. I did
So
not know that. Huh.
yeah, I guess as far as like speedrunning stuff, it all would have to be split into weird categories because there's so
Mhm.
many different ways to reach the end.
Yeah, that's the one thing. With any roguelike, I suppose that's just how it's gonna be. Just curious, like how fast, just because you need lucky runs and all that, and just the right setup.
Yeah.
Uh, Something I don't know when you added it was on the left side of the screen. You have like stats for all your things. I don't know when that got added because I know that wasn't at the start.
That
And
is this update, actually. That's new to
oh,
this
that was this.
update.
I like it. I like that update. Like I like knowing what my attack rate is and my power and all that because it gives you just a better sense of how much does it take to take things out and how fast and things like that. I guess I like more numbers, so I appreciate that update.
Well, thank you. That information's always been there on like the map screen. Like if you hold select and pull the map screen, it was there, but it was kind of large and it would have blocked a lot of UIs. So it's been moved and now it's over there permanently. And it was added to complement. You probably noticed if you played some, the champions will now drop these little temporary power ups that'll just give you like temporary damage boost, temporary fire boost, temporary like speed, things like that. And you get this little meter that'll run down. And that's kind of the new way of balancing out the champions and preventing farming too much, just like hanging out and farming stats for champions, but also making them interesting. So
yeah, I like the champions. I don't know when you added champions, but I do like that as an addition. Like, it has definitely become such a better refined game over 3 years. Like, I liked it at the start too, but you've made it better, and that's something I really like. It is a game you can spend a lot of time on, especially if you're a big fan of Super Metroid, or if you just like roguelikes in general. And like I said before, I just really like I don't have to wait on upgrades to be able to overcome the next hurdle. I could just either get better or maybe get a luckier run, or maybe just farm scrap or something.
Yeah, there's a lot of approaches to it. I think you can tackle it in a lot of different ways. You mentioned the I forgot to mention when you mentioned the speedrun thing. Another new thing in this patch, there's a lot of new things, is what's called race mode. It's when you go there's been seeded runs for a very long time, but because of the complexity of the game and the sheer amount of items and the level generation being dependent on item orders, seeds could still, you'd get largely the same run, but they could still vary a little bit depending on what you had unlocked, like the items that might appear in shops or what items you start with could vary. And now there is a mode for racing on Twitch where you can check a little checkbox and all that will be the same. Like it won't necessarily match what you've got unlocked, but it will be the same across the board so that anybody playing, they'll have the same run identically. Cool. So
over these 3 years, what's been the funnest part, I guess? It's a very nebulous question, but just what's the funnest part? Like the community, developing. I assume not bug crushing, but
not bug crushing. Yeah. Honestly, probably. I mean, the community's been great. Like it's been really encouraging at times just to have people that are interested in it, and that has made it like developing the game, the front half where no one knew it existed, and I was working on it for a year. It's been it's been very different and honestly better having people excited and anticipate new updates. I think also just getting better. Like I think I've improved as a developer over these past 3 years. Like if you look at the content that was in the game when it launched versus like some of this later content, especially in terms of like animation and artwork, I don't know, it's just better. Like I have a better understanding of like what a robot name fight is, and it's just seeing the game improve has been really rewarding.
Yeah, once again, I said this in the last podcast. The Megabeast song is so dang good. I really like that song. I don't know if I asked how you made that one. I don't think I did. Like, how did you make that song?
All the music was written in Fruity Loops. Like it's all laid out like just in Fruity Loops with a lot of different like free VSTs from I forget the name. I'll have to remember it. But these great free like chiptune kind of VSTs. And then on that song in particular, you'll hear these little voices in the background, like this kind of Ennio Morricone style, like, oh, yo, like big deep voices. And that's just me like layering my voice a few times.
Huh.
But yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, hearing that stuff in the fight. It's what I really. What gave you the idea for the weapons to combine, or just abilities to combine? Because when I was doing a run, I got like the fire gun, and then I just kept getting more speed ups, and eventually it turned into like a machine gun, which was amazingly powerful. What I really appreciate about a robot name fight is if you grind up, you become insanely powerful, and it feels really cool. It's a nice feeling when your gun is shredding all the meat all over the place in seconds. And the Megabeast itself just can't stand up either. Where'd you get that idea from?
It kind of fit in with the whole design philosophy behind the game because the notion it's all random. It's this random game where all these disparate pieces, like all the rooms, are hand designed and they've got to fit together in a variety of ways. And with the actual power ups and specifically the weapons, like I wanted them to feel have that similar aspect of rather than designing specific things, it's like this toolkit or it's this box of attributes that can all attach to any kind of weapon. So that's why you get I guess like you have rockets, and then if you get the homing power up, your rockets will start homing. If you get like all those different, I wanted as much synergies as possible, and I wanted like just the programming challenge of designing things in a way where like literally any projectile could have these attributes switched on, be they homing or certain projectiles will bounce, certain projectiles will like fragment into smaller projectiles, and I wanted to build like kind of a holistic system that let all those pieces plug together so that when you collect multiple weapons, it's not just like these distinct disparate weapons, it's this like whole system, and it really gives you this freedom to build. I don't know. Yeah. Binding of Isaac was a huge inspiration on that because they do a great job of like having these really interesting synergies, especially Rebirth compared to like Flash Isaac. And it was really just trying to capture that.
Okay, like my problem is I never played Isaac because of body horror, which is funny because your game has so much body horror too. Like I don't know, I can stomach your meat, I can't stomach Isaac's meat.
Well, yeah, Isaac has a lot of other, I think, like disturbing themes,
But so they do where things come together in that game too, or
yeah, to some degree, like you could have homing shots, and there's this big brimstone laser you can fire out. When those two things combine, this like laser now bends and targets enemies. There's lots of cool synergies.
Yeah, because I don't think that synergy. I don't remember that synergy being at the start. Robot Aim Fight, but playing it now and those synergies come together, things synergized. They could synergize, but they didn't become like a new weapon. I guess.
Yeah, like that happens a lot more now. There's more of those synergies added in.
Yeah, because they were happening to me. I'm like, oh wow, these become a new thing. Oh, that's really cool. It was a nice surprise for me. I like that because I got the firebolt, and then I got that the firebolts now when they hit things they'll become like two things, and then. Funny thing, I also got it goes through things. So I actually don't know if it only goes through things and then become more things eventually. But then I got like a bunch of attack speed, and it became a firebolt machine gun, which was just shredding through everything, and that was really fun.
Oh yeah, all those power up stacks, so you can have like homing, rapid fire, split on contacts, bouncing firebolts that
Yeah, that's
inherit like every property of all the things you picked up. So,
because like the end game becomes my favorite part because of how silly strong you can get, and also one of my favorite things that has always been there from the start is when you do the jump and you spin, your weapons still fire with you, so you can be like a spinning flamethrower, which has always been cool to me. Something I just really like the design of the game because in a way you intuitively understand what's coming. If I actually don't know if there's more than just Spider-Bot. Spider-Bot's my favorite power always for some reason. I really like Spider-Bot when he just becomes that little guy. But when there's like a low area, I know, I get to have Spider-Bot this run. I'm happy with that. Or if I see a high area, I know like I'm going to have like a jump or something. I know that much. Or you'll see a wall that you can't enter yet because it's either covered in meat, so it's going to need some sort of flamethrower ability, which more electrical, so it's going to need maybe like a lightning ability. Or you see switches where you're going to have to shoot through a wall. It's like, okay, I'm going to need some power for that. And what I like is if you play it enough, you have some guess what you're going to get as you're going. And it gets this kind of anticipation like, oh, okay, so it might be the rocket launcher I'm going to get, or I think there's a grenade kind of thing. Yeah, I'm going to get one of these kind of powers. Or maybe I'll just get firebolts and things like that. So there's kind of anticipation when you play it enough. We're like, oh, I know what powers I might be getting, and I'm excited for that. And maybe it won't be what I want, but still, I like that feeling of I feel smarter as I'm playing it more.
It's definitely something you learn, and I think it's balancing between like roguelikes, which are completely random. Like you really don't know what you're going to get from moment to moment. And then Metroidvanias, which counter to that, like you kind of need to memorize. Like you need to know what's coming, and you kind of learn a Metroidvania. And I think by having those different kinds of locks that have multiple solutions. You mentioned Spiderbot. There's also a slide ability that can get you under those things. And then there's a Buzzsaw Shell, which is kind of an homage to Sonic the Hedgehog, where you can roll into a ball and like dash forward and do that kind of thing. So you're going to get one of 3 or 4 things when you see one of these gates, but you don't know exactly which one. So it's a happy medium between that complete randomness and then that like learning the game and knowing what to expect and knowing how to approach things. It's similar philosophy is how items are hidden in the rooms. You don't know which rooms items are going to be hidden. Like you can't memorize a map because the maps are completely random, but the rooms are designed in such a way where once you know where a secret item is in a type of room, you're going to know where it is the next time that room shows up. So it's trying to mix those two pretty disparate ideas, I think, of roguelike and Metroidvania.
Personally, I think it's a really good mix. I'm not trying to blow smoke. Like, I just really like the game. And yeah, what you just said is eventually I got to the sense of like, okay, if there's like a crack kind of thing in the wall, I know this is where the secret's going to be. Or like there's a weird looking pillar in this wall, like I know that's where it's going to be, kind of thing. Sometimes it's right under my feet and I don't realize it because I shoot everywhere and I'm not hitting the one spot it's at.
Yeah, it's not perfect. There are definitely some that are maybe feel a little unfair. I've tried to correct. That's another thing, I guess, working on it for 3 years, is when the game launched, there were a lot of like enemies that might hit you when you walk in a room that were just placed unfairly because I didn't consider that like particular permutation of that room. And I've tried to polish all that up. So I think like I've done a better job in these past 3 years of telegraphing where secret items are and also like preventing those enemies. So
yeah. As far as like you were saying, you don't know if it'd be DLC, a sequel, or does Terraria just make you go like, maybe I could just update this one game forever?
Yeah, between like Terraria and Isaac, I do feel like maybe I could just keep adding. At this point, I'm kind of at a juncture where I want to get something else out there. Like I want to get another new game. So this is probably going to be the last ARNF update for a while. I don't know what. I'm not going to put a time frame on that, but several months at least before physical release. The game is coming out physically, and there will probably be patches and stuff like that. But I don't know. I don't feel like I'll ever stop updating a robot named Fight. Like I might put out another game, and then after that game comes out, return to a robot named Fight and keep adding stuff because I don't know. It's a really fun project to work on because it is so expansive. Like, and yeah, Terraria is a big influence, I guess, in that way. Like I really love that model. Like the final update for Terraria just came out, and I think that game's been out for a decade.
At this point, yeah.
And I play it all the time. It's great.
It's like the 4th final update too. Like they just keep like, this is the last one. No, it's not.
It's like every time like 9 Inch Nails breaks up, it's
like we're done. It's like them and like how many years has Kiss been on their farewell tour and just all these different bands? Yeah, it's like that. I can't keep saying I just like the game. It is. I just like.
I appreciate it. I mean, you can totally keep saying it. It's absolutely fine.
Now I remember. Okay, so ports. Since you're saying physical release, so there's ports. You ported to Switch, which I have. I played it. I like it on Switch as well. Which it should feel really good on Switch after all. It's influenced by Super Metroid, and it feels got that feel. Did you port? I only know of Switch and PC. Did you port to the other consoles or?
Not yet, okay. And I'm not sure if or when that will happen. We've talked about doing PS4 for a really long time, but just never found like a good way to do it. I guess. Like I mean, it's been Unity, and actually making it run wouldn't be a problem, but just like the the ins and outs of distributing it and doing online stuff. Like, I just haven't broached that yet. But this physical release is coming out on Switch, and we're working. It's me and then the publisher on Switch, which is HitSense, company I used to work for, and then there's the people actually creating the physical product is a group called Premium Edition, and it is JP Switch Mania, who is a YouTuber, and some other folks have all gotten together to start this like kind of like limited run. Only it's not limited. Like it will forever be available when there's demand. So it should be good.
Cool. All right, and that's exciting though. What are you saying?
Oh, I said it will forever be available as long as there's demand, and I'm pretty sure that's true. Don't
Yeah.
hold against me if I'm
that's true until I think the death of a console. I think then of course that doesn't happen anymore. I hope to believe that at least. I wish that was true with amiibos at least, like
right
scalpers. I wasn't able to ask that before. So what was it like porting for a console from PC to console?
It honestly, with Unity, it was not that difficult. Like even for Switch, which is like porting to Xbox, it wouldn't be particularly difficult because Xbox and Windows are not that dissimilar as far as their operating system or whatever. But porting to Switch was honestly, after getting the dev kit, there's a little bit of like setup work. But Unity allowed it to kind of just work. And there were a few things that had to be done to meet, like, the Switch has some, I don't want to call them limitations, but restrictions as far as, like, saving data and, like, how much, what all you can do with memory and storage. And the game I had to adjust some things to meet those. But otherwise, it kind of just worked. And it was really just about making the Switch release coincided with another update, so it was just like I got to focus on content. It was very nice. Like, and there's a few other, I guess, like for any game developers listening, there's a Unity asset called Rewired, which is far better than Unity's like native input control stuff. And if you ever have to port your game, will help you out tremendously there because you're able to like easily set up different control configurations for different platforms and even different controllers on the market and stuff. It's really great. But yeah, it was surprisingly easy.
Okay, because that's also something I wanted to ask is advice for, because you've made a game, you've released it, you got a community. It's been 3 years, you've updated it. Just advice in general for I guess in two sections. One is people who want to make a game, and then the other section would be people who just released and how they can cultivate the future from there.
I think like for people that want to make a game, there's plenty of resources out there at this point. Like Unity's great, Game Maker's great. Both those are very like professional games are made in Unity. I think like the new Doom that came out on Switch, not the newest Doom, but the re-release of Doom is actually like Unity Doom. Like they remade the original Doom using Unity just because of the cross-platform capabilities. Like that was the easiest way to do it.
Okay, didn't know that.
So like big shout out to Unity for starting game devs or even experienced game devs. Like it works great. And then Game Maker is good, but as far as advice for like approaching the project is like limit your scope for your first game because you're not gonna know. Like I don't know, you're gonna be learning and you're gonna be doing things in a way you'll want to change later. Like I released a Robot Named Fight, but before that, like I worked on mobile games for that company HitSense I mentioned for a few years, and even before that, had made like Flash games and stuff that never saw the light of day that were all, I mean, in retrospect, trash. So like your first few games, like make a tiny game just to understand making games, I think is the best advice for people just starting out. Like make something small, limit your scope, don't make your dream game starting out, but make the whole thing. Like make the menus, make the flow of beginning to end, like you can beat it, you can all the features contained, and never get too bogged down in one thing. Keep it small and save your best ideas for later. As far as people that just released games and trying to actually like market them and build communities, around them, I think we found the most success in like reaching out to like smaller YouTube channels, smaller streamers, smaller influencers. Like that's really important. And all those people have, I mean, all those people have built-in audiences. It's great when Super Best Friends covered a Robot Named Fight, and they have a fairly large audience. That was wonderful. Like that helped the game out a lot. But really, the community has been built by like reaching out to independent content creators, and never. I would recommend like never be stingy with your review codes. If especially if there's not much hype around your game, because there wasn't a lot of hype around a Robot Named Fight when it first came out. Like we had I put forth a little bit of money to have like a PR team send out some press releases and things like that. And I would recommend doing that. Like if you have a budget, figure in the marketing aspect of that. Like set aside some money for marketing, because your game's not going to sell if no one knows it exists. But beyond that, like reaching out to content creators, even no matter what the size of their channel or like their network of people they reach, like it's really important to do that, I think, because that's how you start building like a good tight-knit community, I think.
I think that's good advice in general for a lot of things. Okay, so going back to like Terraria and just making more and more to it, I feel like that feels like kind of like just the thing of creation, being creative. Like when you find something you really like, you just want to keep building it up and up. Like people who just keep writing books in the same universe or things like that. You just keep building it up because, well, you like this place. And so like you're saying, you maybe make another game and then you want to come back to Robot Name Fight and do more with it. That comes to the question is like, would you want to do a sequel to Robot Name Fight or progress? I haven't gotten the final ending, so I actually don't know what the heck happens. Or do more to the story, or make it a bigger. I haven't tried the mega map yet. I'm curious how big that is.
It is.
It's just huge.
Pretty large.
Okay.
It's every like you know how there's the different environments in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Normally there's 4 in a run. Like it's all of them all matched together, and it has a very bit like. It feels very Metroidvania-y because you can like areas connect not only to like 2 other areas, but 3, 4 other like environments, and you can all like I had to rewrite a lot of the map code to do that. As far as you mentioned like a sequel versus expanding the original Robot Named Fight, I have been considering like a Robot Named Fight's great. I keep working on it because it's kind of a game about making games, like any platformers, Metroidvanias, that's a very well-tread genre, and there's lots of ideas out there, and there's lots of like content, and it can all be kind of combined and mixed and like explored and remixed in various ways to create interesting games. And like a Robot Named Fight is really a game about doing just that and having like I guess you could at this point you could almost call it an artificial intelligence doing that, like creating games for you to play, creating new Metroidvania games for you to play. I think to push it further, it may have to come in the form of a sequel. Both like programmatically, both like the mechanics of the game, and then the story that I guess Robot Named Fight tells. I would really like to advance that or like explore that world more, even prior to or after Robot Named Fight. There's a lot of various little projects I've started that try and do that, but I can't talk about them.
Yeah, it's like I want to ask things in that realm, but I want to like, of course, go to like, oh, I can't say anything kind of thing. But as shoot, well, I don't know what you can say to this one either, but as far as doing something that isn't a Robot Named Fight, is there like a genre or concept that you're looking at?
I'll talk broadly,
okay.
not making any promises about what could come out, but in the past 3 years, I've added a lot to Robot Named Fight, but I've also been working on various prototypes. Things I've explored are like Metroidvania pinball, which was interesting. I didn't go further with it. I may come back to it eventually. But like weird genre combinations have been things I've experimented with. Like there was an old TurboGrafx game called Final Lap Twin that was kind of like an RPG racing game. It combined like the top-down exploring towns, fighting things like aspects of JRPGs, and then like Mario Kart style racing where you would reach a town and there'd be like some big bad that runs the town and we'd have to race them to I guess like unlock respect or cred in that town. I can't exactly remember the premise, but just that premise was really interesting to me. And I've been trying to think about ideas like that combine very disparate genres. I've also been, I'm not particularly experienced with like writing network code for online multiplayer stuff. So I've been exploring that a little and working with some other people. I've got a very good friend in Spain named Sebastian that we've been playing around a lot with like AI and some multiplayer stuff. And that may make its way into whatever comes next. And then I've got another project I'm working on that is kind of more of a traditional platformer, like very much the opposite of a robot named Fight, and that all the content's random and generated. And I want to explore that area of like very intentional, like clean platformer level design. So it'll all probably remain in the realm of something retro, something kind of nostalgic, but I don't know. I'm working on a lot of different things. We'll see which one comes out for first.
Okay. Different realm. Assuming you play a lot of games, like you say you played Binding Isaac and other things. Has there been like any other games, maybe roguelikes or platformers or Metroidvanias, where they have ideas like, oh, that's a cool idea. I wish I came up with that, and things like that? Or...
Definitely. I think like it's so difficult at this point because we're in an era of gaming where especially indie games are now drawing upon the past so much. Like the most recent game that gave me inspiration was probably Blazing Chrome, which is very much like, you could call it a Contra clone, but it approaches Contra in this very interesting, polished way, and like it has almost what I'd call encounters. Like every level has not only a theme, but like these unique elements and mechanics, the way they're approached, this kind of cinematic quality. Like you might be speeding down. Like normally you run around like Contra shooting guns in the air, but they're vehicles. You hop on a motorcycle and it is now auto propelled forward. It's an auto scroller, but the way it's presented is just I don't know how to describe what I appreciate about it. There's this like holistic quality to it that it now feels like a new game, and I like that element. As far as I'm trying to think of more recent games that have just blown me away as far as like new ideas, and I don't know. I don't have a good answer.
I have one I want to question about. Have you played The Messenger?
I am in the midst of playing it. I mentioned earlier that friend in Spain, Sebastian, that we're working on the multiplayer stuff. I've started the Messenger. I need to complete it. I know the gist of it. Like I won't spoil it or whatever, but I know that you end up doing some of those things, and that's really cool. I like the idea of taking like things we're all familiar with. Like we're familiar with roguelikes, we're familiar with Metroidvanias, but we haven't seen them combined in that particular way. And I think the Messenger does that in a different way, combining different genres in a way that maybe you don't expect, or just surprising people with the familiar. I like that a lot.
Yeah,
so
really good game. Different question. This would be, I think, helpful as well as workload, preventing burnout, things like that, like advice for that. Or did you burn out at some point?
Oh, well, the past 3 years, I think I've burned out a few times. It is very difficult. I think working alone is maybe bad. That's a thing I've done a lot. Like I when I made A Robot Named Fight, it was more or less completely alone, aside from my wife helping with marketing and some stuff like that. So like having another person to keep you motivated really helps. I would even say like before releasing this patch and a little bit after, I'd hit a point of burnout. Like I'd hit a point of just being kind of tired and going through motions. Not to say this patch is good or anything. It was actually I got a kind of I don't know a new start with it because I'd been working on something beforehand and this patch pulled me away from it and I've really sunk a lot of time in that. But now that I've moved away from that, like I've started working with some other people on various projects, and just having a group to keep you motivated, having somebody else to kind of keep you on task is really good, especially like with a small team. So even though I made a Robot Named Fight like all like completely solo in most every sense of the word, like I don't know that I'd recommend that approach to game design. I think it's good if you have a very particular idea, but as far as like just getting stuff done, I don't know if it's the best way.
Yeah, because I suppose when you get more ideas, there's always like too many cooks as possible, or just you have a vision and you don't want anyone to mess with it, I suppose.
Yeah. I can definitely get very like dictatorial. I think in game design, like I definitely have a like if it's in my head a certain way, I want to see it done that way. But I think it's good to fight those urges. Like I don't think those are good instincts as far as design or any kind of creative work. I think the more you're able to collaborate and like see the best in everyone's ideas and piece them together, it's probably better. It's a difficult thing to do, I think.
Do you feel pressure to make another game, or I don't know how that is because like you've made something, a lot of people really do like it, and is it pressure to like make a new thing, to make a sequel? Like I don't. Where does it put your head in with just well, people really like this and they want either more of it or they want to see what else you can make.
It's odd because I think the people that really like a Robot Named Fight, like really like it, especially the Discord community, would be happy to see me work on that game forever. Like just never do anything but update a Robot Named Fight, and I could easily do that. Like I'd love to do that, but there is like I think like financial and like creative pressure to tackle something new. Like the games only have so much lifespan, and a Robot Named Fight still like it's on sale right now. I'll go ahead and plug that. Is that until the 24th? I'm not sure when this will air, but it's on sale.
This will air the 23rd, so right before the.
Okay, well this is almost the last day to get it. Go get it on Switch and Steam now. 50% off above. But like even now, a Robot Named Fight brings in revenue, but it's not the same as at launch. Okay. And like to support myself and stuff, like it does have to. Eventually, I'll have to charge money for something. It's weird doing free updates and how well that's actually worked for the past 3 years. But I think that's probably the biggest source of pressure is just needing to have like a new game to sell. Like
yeah, gotta eat.
Yeah.
I guess yeah. Thinking about it, yeah. That of course you have to make money. You got to be able to keep going. Especially with how things are going right now.
Yeah.
I feel like there's like a back and forth of well, people got to decide what they're going to spend their money on. Is it going to be on a game or something else? But I guess one of the advantages to working from home is you're not around a lot of people who can get you sick.
Yeah, that has been like in all of this recent stuff with the coronavirus and stuff like that. Like my life hasn't changed that drastically. Like I've been working from home for years prior, and I guess I'm kind of lucky in that way because I know like my wife now works from home, and a lot of people I know either work from home or have lost their jobs. That you know sucks. But it's also been good. Like my community, I had a right when this patch was about to come out. I've had this work PC forever. It had started overheating. The processor was just old or collecting dust or just whatever cooling elements were not functioning, and I've repaired it multiple times, all that, but it finally gave out days before I was supposed to submit this thing to Switch, this new patch. Ooh. And my community actually came together, and they knew about the computer troubles, and they had secretly been trying to build me a new computer. And they immediately like mailed me a new motherboard, mailed me a new processor, and like the next day I was able to install it on the computer. And it just, I don't know, it's just awesome having a community that is that supportive. I've got people that donate on Patreon, and I think that's the only reason. Like, I don't know. You see, I work out of my bedroom. This is my work PC that I'm talking to you on, and it's just great to have, like, I don't know, people that care that much about the game, or even me as a developer, to like help me out in that way. So that's another, like, it's been nice to see people just be generous in that way in the midst of all this.
That is a nice feeling. All right. See if there's any questions left before I round this out. No, I can't think of any. I will say one more time, I really enjoy the game.
I appreciate it, man.
I'll probably play it some more later because I need to get that third ending. I don't know what it looks like yet.
There's 6 now, so you got 4 endings to get.
Because I think one of the modes gives another ending. I think
all the modes have new endings.
Each? Oh, geez. Okay. All right. So need to get plenty of fight now. You like ending 2 trip and like, oh, okay, that makes perfect sense. It's weird, but it makes sense. Yeah. Okay. We're gonna end that. I'm out of ideas. No questions about the game itself. I just enjoy it. It's very fun. I recommend everyone try it out if you haven't already. It's, as said, it's on PC, it's on Switch, it's on sale. So there you go. And if you need to, you can see our video on it as well. Of course, that is the first version of it, which just, it's better. It's better than that version, which is already a good version, I'll say.
Yeah.
And yeah, so the last thing I want to ask is just, I guess, what's the most important thing you learned from all this?
From working on a robot in 5 years, I guess. Man, that's hard to quantify. The most important thing, probably not to work alone. I think as much as I love doing it, and as much as it was able to be this pure like expression of exactly what I had in mind, like it was also really hard. And I've had a lot more fun since the game came out, both collaborating with the community around it and then like working and meeting with other developers and talking with other people, like especially when it's on like my own terms or our own terms as far as the group is concerned. Like I said, I used to work for a mobile game company or whatever, and that not to like bad talk them at all, but like working for a company is very different than working for like being your own independent developer. But that doesn't mean working with people is bad. And I think almost as a reaction of being in that company team environment for so long, I wanted to just take off on my own and do my own thing. And now I think I've learned that there's a happy medium there. Like you can work with other people and not have to have such a rigid, financially motivated or oriented, approach to game development.
Okay. Oh, I do have a question off this path to ask, because I just remembered, after all, you're a big fan of body horror.
Yeah.
Has anything in recent history just been up to snuff compared to the old stuff? I can't think of anything.
As far as body horror, no.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like as far as like if you go back and think about The Thing or any like old Cronenberg movies or anything like that, like practical effects just aren't what they used to. I don't know. They're not used as much. There is a movie called The Void, and it's not super recent, but it's a horror movie. I think came out late 2000s, maybe 2008 or 9. I'm not sure. I could be way off on that. But it was kind of a little indie production, and it's about a hospital, and person comes in diseased, and it was surprisingly good. Now that I'm thinking back, that would be one thing that has an aspect of body horror I really liked. It also has like that kind of Cthulhian, Lovecraftian like mystique to it. Yeah, it's good.
I feel like maybe it's because practical has gone by the wayside because the CG is what is also part of it. Because CG body like things to people just never look good. Just has never looked good. It's like it's always too smooth. It just doesn't
Especially
look right.
Pure CG. You can always like augment. I think you can augment practical things with CG, but like there's been this tendency lately to like just the background, the set is CG, the everything's CG, you know, it's people reacting to tennis balls. And I think that's where you get into that, like everything looks plastic, everything looks strange.
Yeah. Um, I don't know if you're a fan of Star Wars. Like The Mandalorian has shown a good push back towards practical while also
Mhm.
using CG. So I'm really curious if maybe we'll get an evolution of that, or it's also because where horror is as well. Horror is just a bunch of jump scares, not really making you uncomfortable, I feel.
Yeah.
So maybe there'll be like a resurgence in the next 10, 20 years. Because maybe that's just how things are. They just evolve in different ways. Or,
I think there's been good horror lately. I
okay,
think there is a tiny resurgence, but
I know.
like, oh, sorry.
I'm sorry. No, I mean, I know like horror is always like a cheap thing, so it's the cheap way to make a bunch of money. So like Blumhouse is like the most popular for that, and I guess doing practical isn't as cheap as it used to be, where you can just have someone maked up. I guess
Yeah.
found footage. I also feel like maybe part of the aspect is I know the movies are more moving towards like China and like more what that audience is liking, and I know they don't really like, well, they're like respectful of the dead or just respectful of the human body. So I wonder if that also affects things.
It could.
So
I hadn't considered that as far as like appealing to international audience and how that might impact horror.
mhm.
That's a good
But
thought.
yeah, but like America, they just love horror movies. They'll come out like not in droves, but there's that base that will always come out for them. So
Yeah, like your Insidiouses. You mentioned Blumhouse, and yeah,
yeah,
that's kind of the jump scare tense. Like there's a formula to it, and
yeah,
like I enjoy some of that stuff. Like it's fine, but yeah, it's not that deeply disturb. Like I don't know, it doesn't do the what I guess like old films like The Exorcist or The Thing did.
yeah.
It's different if it's a different thing. I do want to like say I like as far as horror movies, like Ari Aster's stuff, Midsummer and
Oh,
Hereditary are both really disturbing movies. Like I do
yeah.
think they kind of got them mixed in, and it wasn't a jump scare type thing.
Mhm.
Uh,
Like
so
yeah, the I feel like those are more rare, but they're appreciated because what horror is supposed to be is supposed to make you uncomfortable, not just scare you. And oh yeah, those movies are uncomfortable, and and not they like go too far away. It's just yeah, these are just uncomfortable movies because that's they do it right. Yeah, I'm not trying to sound like it was like, oh, I'm so cool, these are what I like kind of thing, but just I think those are a better way of doing horror, where it's just you really don't want to be in that situation.
yeah, they always have parallels to real world
Mm,
things. I mean, Babadook talking about depression or
oh, yeah.
any of those kind of things. Sorry, I am. My background isn't like my education background is just like a film minor. So
Oh,
big.
okay.
I'm sorry.
That's fine.
I can talk about it all day.
I'm come to notice some of the creators I've talked to, like film. It's either film or art is a background part of the background, and luckily I watch a lot of movies, so I can talk a little bit. Uh, but yeah, I think that's everything to go over. This was a good talk, pleasant chat.
Yeah.
I will say it one last time. I really like the game. Everyone, check it out. I, it's there's that like once you cry wolf enough times, no one looks out for the wolf anymore. That's probably what I'm doing right now, saying it's a good game. You guys got it the first time. I just say get it, because also for some people, saying the other way, you say it enough times, people believe it. So yeah, it's good. Go get it. Go play it. Go play it. Especially if you like Super Metroid. I know people who are hardcore Super Metroid people, and they love it. So that's a going thing. Uh, anything you want to shout out or plug before we head out?
Just that I think if you said this releases the 23rd, then the game is on sale today and tomorrow. You can get it for $6.49. That's the price of a meal at I guess like KFC, like
It is.
combo meal price. So I guarantee you'll probably enjoy the game as much as a I don't know why I thought KFC. I'm in Kentucky. Um,
Okay.
low risk, low barrier for entry. So check it out, and I've got the Discord, the Patreon. If you're really into the game, check out those things as well. And yeah,
So there you go. That is. Oops. That is basically a podcast, and whenever the next thing comes out, I want to connect with you on that, of course, and so we can talk about that. Uh, Thank you everyone for coming to basically a podcast. Thank you to our guest for being here, and yeah, we'll have all the links to everything in the description for the YouTube version. And just one more thing to head out. Does Kentucky hate KFC, or is it just a thing?
It's KFC.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Okay, I was just wondering because like it's just the state, and then all right,
Yeah.
that's it. Thanks for coming by, everybody. See you next time.
Bye.